Hi, welcome to Barcart Bookshelf, a video series about books and the drinks they inspire. My name is Elias, and today we're talking about Tales of Nevèròn by Samuel Delany. Tales of Nevèròn is it's the beginning of a sequence of sword and sorcery stories. There are 11 stories in total that range in length from short stories, novelettes, novellas, and novels collected in 4 volumes by the Wesleyan University Press. That's the edition that I have available now. A huge thank you to the publisher for sending these my way at my request. They're books that I have really wanted to read for a while here, and ones that I'm so excited to be talking about with all of you because they are particularly relevant in our current moment, both here in the world and specifically here on Barcart Bookshelf. As longtime viewers will know, there is an anthology coming from a favorite publisher of ours here at Barcart Bookshelf, Neon Hemlock, called Shatter the Sun, Queer Tales of Untold Adventure. That should be arriving in just the next couple of weeks, and I have a short story in it, The Peacock Wizard and the Cave of the Serpent Queen. And so sword and sorcery has been much on my mind over the last year and a half, 2 years. And the Nevèròn series by Samuel Delany was one of the major influences on the publisher in creating this anthology. And so it's a book that I've been wanting to familiarize myself with, and no better time than right when this anthology is about to come out, especially because these are books that I think really lend themselves to a reader who already has a strong familiarity with the subgenre. They're playing with some of the established tropes and sorts of conventions of the genre in some really exciting ways and in some sort of powerfully metafictional ways. I mean, Samuel Delany is one of those authors who you read and you're like, oh, I am dealing with a genius, like someone who is just so smart and thoughtful and really understands the power of the medium of the written word. And so when you've read your C.L. Moore, your Clark Ashton Smith, your Robert Howard, and when you've read your Michael Moorcock, then, get into Nevèròn here as well and get to see some of the really powerful ways that the genre can be played with. It's really just wonderful stuff. So, the first volume of this series is Tales of Nevèròn. It introduces us to this setting in a mythic past. It is a sequence of 5 stories, mostly novelette length. There's one that's a little bit shorter, The Tale of Small Sard. And we see this world of ideas just beginning to form. We've got the invention of things that we're only several generations of having the introduction of money and how that's changing things. We have this great evil of slavery and how that is an interplay in the shaping of society, and ideas about the identity of the self and the identity of interiority, things that you can really only play with this sort of omniscient narration and looking in on variation in exciting ways. It's beginning with the tale of Gorgic, a young man who lives in this capital city called Kolhari. More about that in just a sec. And at a certain point in his life, there's a regime change, and he's drawn into slavery and then drawn out of slavery and comes into sort of his own and existing on the periphery of some of these other stories and in the immediate action as this sort of character in the tradition of Conan, this adventuring, wandering sort of figure, and have really frank discussions of eroticizing trauma, and, when in doubt, eroticize it, and the play of slavery and a slave past with sexual gratification and a desire for intimacy in some really high level and thoughtful ways. It's a thinky set of stories. It's chewy. You just want to, rotate it around in your mouth and in your mind and have a great old time with it. And so we had to have a drink. Our drink today is called the Kolhari, named for this port city, which was once Nevèrionah. And we will begin by preparing our glass, actually. So I've got here some kosher salt. We're going to get that in a little dish here, and we are going to rim the edge of a glass. Now you can do this with a citrus peel, or I like to do it with like a damp paper towel, just because that ensures that we're going to get sort of wet enough that we can really get a good rim of ice upon our glass, get that sort of damp, and then plunk it on down into your prepared salt, and just sort of rotate that until you have some nice salt along the rim of your glass. Perfect. And if you only want to do half of it, because you like it somewhat salty, but not perfectly so, then you can do that as well. So we'll give that a nice solid rimming, and then we'll set that aside. These very queer books and stories exploring different ideas around gender and sexuality and desire. It's really just, again, so thinky, so thoughtful. We have our prepared glass. We will set that aside, and we'll start building the rest of our drink in our shaker. We're going to start with 1.25 ounces of rum. Gorgic, at one point in a story, drinks a mug of rum. We have this play of things just being invented. There's only one lock and one key. We haven't invented the idea of multiple locks. And yet, on a food and drink level, we have this real hodgepodge. So we have distillation to create rum. We have tomatoes and New World plants in this sort of mythic past that's maybe like an prehistoric ancient Mediterranean. And so this wonderful sort of play with our available ingredients and having a lot of fun with that. So we will get 1.25 ounces of rum in here. Alas, though turnips loom large in these stories, we will not be incorporating any turnips into our drink today, though I encourage you, if you're reading, to go roast some turnips, saute some turnip greens, and enjoy those with your Kolhari and the Tales of Nevèrjon as well. So to our rum, we will add 3/4 ounce of lime juice. Lovely. Keeping it fresh, keeping it bright, really refreshing. And then our sweeteners. We're going to get 1/2 ounce of red wine syrup, cider on shore, red wine on the water, and 1/2 ounce of velvet falernum. Velvet falernum is one of those classic tropical liqueurs. It's sort of ginger, cardamom, lime zest. It's a very distinctive sort of flavor. If you've had some of the mainstays of the tiki tropical tradition, you've probably had a drink with velvet falernum in it. It's not an ingredient we've used a ton here on Bar Cart Bookshelf, but it is back on my mind thanks to friend of the pod, S.T. Gibson, who was just discussing velvet falernum with me the other day. And as I was reading these stories, I was thinking, that's a complicated, clever sort of flavor that is really going to play nicely all together in there. And then we're going to add a couple of dashes of aromatic bitters, Angostura, again keeping these baking spice notes and that bitter sweetness, that complication. As always with bitters, hard to add more, easy to add more, hard to add less. Start with 2 to 4 dashes if you want that more intense Angostura flavor, that cinnamon, clove, allspice, that gentian drying on the roof of your mouth sort of quality. Then, of course, you can add some more. We've got all of our liquid ingredients here in our shaker. We're going to add some crushed ice to that. Perfect. And then shake it up, wake it up. Oh my. Paperbacks, they just don't want to cooperate. Lovely. Nice, frosty, freezy. We won't shake anymore because sometimes when we shake too aggressively, things fall apart. Gonna take our strainer and strain that into the glass that we prepared. Perfect. And then we'll top that with a little bit more crushed ice. Again, we want this nice, frosty, freezy. We can get a little of our crushed ice that we shook it up with in there as well. Fantastic. And there you have it. This is the Kolhari, inspired by Tales of Nevèrjon by Samuel Delany. I had such a great time with this book. There are 3 more volumes, so you can count on the fact that we will be talking more about the world of Nevèrjon and the weeks and months ahead. I'm so excited to continue reading these and to talk about them with all of you. I've got a link to snag them from the Wesleyan University Press in the description down below, as well as a link to purchase my book, Cocktails and Consoles, 75 Cocktails and Mocktails to Level Up Your Game Night, if you're looking for more uses for that red wine syrup made with equal parts red wine and sugar. We've got some drinks involving that in the book. We've got a link to purchase Shatter the Sun, Queer Tales of Untold Adventure from Neon Hemlock down there as well. If you enjoy what we do here on Bar Cart Bookshelf, if you enjoy Samuel Delany and the Tales of Nevèrjon, I think you're really going to enjoy the stories in that anthology. They are illustrated, there are poems, there's a comic, there's a solo TTRPG. It's a really great thing. I'm so excited to share it with all of you out there as well. We've got links to various forms of social media, including Blue Sky and Instagram, where there is always a written version of today's recipe. Try the drink. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Hit that like button. It makes me so happy when you do, and really helps us to find new audiences and to decide what sorts of books we're going to continue to cover here on Bar Cart Bookshelf. Subscribe if you haven't already so you never miss an episode. We've got some really great books that we're going to be talking about here in June. Happy Pride Month, by the way. Again, Tales of Nevèrjon. Happy Pride Month. And you never want to miss an episode, because we've got some really great books that we're going to be talking about, including some more sword and sorcery very soon. Again, try the drink. Let me know what you think. And until next time, cheers.